Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to I Have Something to Say, because I do. I am so honored to interview Casey Renee Roberts and her family, Patricia and Tim. They become good friends of mine, and I am so thankful that I have been trusted to share this story. So, without further ado, please welcome to the show
Hi.
Casey, Patricia, and Tim.
Hi there.
How you doing?
We're good.
Good. We're very good. How are you?
Good. So good. So we have so much to cover, and I just want to say, Casey, I love your smile. I love that smile every Tuesday and Thursday. And you mean so much to me. And I just wanted to let you know I wear your bracelet, never take it off. And I'm on the Casey fan club. And I just, you have inspired me so much. So take me back before you had your stroke. Anybody can talk. I'm just going to let you have the floor.
Okay. Before she became sick, Casey was a full-time mommy. She always wanted to be a mom, and she was a remarkable one. She was literally that mom. And her children were her life. She doted over them. She still does, even though she has, some struggles now. They are her everything. And she was very active in her church, in the curricular activities outside of school for the girls, or anything, but mostly she was very active in her church. And she's just a sweet spirit, always has been. She's just a remarkable, remarkable young lady. And I'm so blessed.
Well, anybody that knows Casey is blessed, but anybody that knows you two is equally as blessed. For a guy that's an Alabama fan, Tim, he's not that bad.
Well, there you go.
You know? So, hey, Casey, can you say this? Go, Tigers.
Tigers?
Yes.
No. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, roll.
Roll Tide, roll.
Thank you for saying that. Anyway, tell me about what led up to the stroke.
Well, there was a lot. And this is where, as a mother, I struggle. However, I'm at a good place. But a lot of what led up to Casey's becoming sick it was stress. She had made a change for her and her girls. They had moved in with us. She filed for divorce in the latter part of January 2020, and she was beginning a new life. She was ready for a new life with her girls. And she got a job. Now, she had been a stay at home mom for 8 years and 5 months, with the exception of the occasional babysitting job she would take. She was a full-time stay-at-home mom, and she took pride in her home. It was absolutely beautiful. Her children, she was just, I can't say enough good about how hard she worked. Well, when she made these changes, she and the girls moved in with us. And, it was just very overwhelming. And more so, it's very unfortunate. They were a beautiful family. And we, we loved them. We loved every aspect. But, things just didn't work out. So with her changes, she got a job shortly before she had moved in with us. She had gotten a part-time job, and that's when we knew things were off, per se. And she loved her part-time job. The only problem was, she didn't have a lot of work experience. Her job was being a full-time mommy. And so she got this job, and a lot of her hours were at night, in the evening. And so she would, do her daily things, getting her girls up, getting them ready for school. She would run errands, take this one to the doctor, that one to counseling, this, that, just doing her mom thing. And then she would have to go to work at night, and she struggled with being away from her children so much. And she just had a lot on her. And
can I ask you a question, Patricia? Did you notice her stress level was going up?
no,
Or you didn't know this?
I knew that she was under some stress because we all saw it. Our whole family, we saw a change in her. And I knew she was under some stress. And I knew without a doubt that there had been things that should not have happened, that did happen, and it didn't help her by any means. But I also know that she's a hard worker. She's a strong person, and she wanted to make the change, and she did. She took that first step, which a lot of people and a lot of women with young children, they don't have the nerve to take that first step.
Well, the courage.
Exactly.
The courage.
And she did. And it should have just been that. But it did, as in any divorce, things did get ugly. And it was sad, so unfortunate. It's so sad. And then she had her job and the girls, and she was really, really stressed. But her biggest fear in this was losing custody of her girls, because they are her life. And that,
well, I can tell you this: I've never met a mother quite as good as Casey. She loves those girls. Hey, Casey.
Yes.
Can you say this for me?
Okay.
I love you, Eliana.
I love you, Eliana.
Yes. I miss you, Inslee.
I miss you, Inslee.
So one of the first things we did was work on that so she could tell and interact with her kids. And I'm so proud of her.
Paul, and he does. It's so different now.
Good.
But she was under a lot of stress. And it was the morning of February 27th.
February coming up on 1 year, right?
Absolutely. February 27th, 2020.
Take me back to that moment.
Okay. That
You
morning,
don't mind.
she had gotten up, gotten the girls ready, taken them to school. And as this story unfolds, you're going to see just how amazing God is and how He lined everything up. He put so many people in our path, and we give Him all the glory for everything. But that morning, she had done what she had been doing every morning, getting her girls to school. And Inslee stayed here with me. Now, Inslee is her youngest.
Yeah.
And Casey came home and she was crying. She was very upset. And again, in any divorce, things got heated and threats, and just on both sides. It's, again, heartbreaking and unfortunate. But that is what happened.
Well, you went to the same church, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
So
a small. How big's Decatur?
it's not that big, but it's not that small.
70,000 or so.
About 70,000.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like half of them were involved in this.
Yep. That's small. Yep.
It just.
I understand.
But anyway, she came home. She was upset, and I was reading these messages, and I just said, okay, we're going to put that phone away, and we're going to make our grocery list. We were going to do an online grocery order. She needed some black pants for her new job. We were just going to put everything away and just have a good day. Plus, February 27th is my late mother's birthday.
Wow.
And we were planning on doing our running around, go to Mama's grave, just anything to get her, feeling better. And
yeah. And what time of day was it?
It was at 9:40 in the morning. And she and I were in the kitchen. I walked from the kitchen into the living room and picked up Inslee and walked back into the kitchen. And as I was going into the kitchen, I heard Casey making a moaning sound. And I looked, and she was just laid out in the floor. And at first, I thought she was being dramatic, that's just what I thought, because that's how we are. It wouldn't have been surprising, if she was just being just a little over dramatic because she had such a rough morning, and.
Can I say one thing, Patricia? I'm going to pull up comments. I've just been so interested in this story, but I want you to know so many new people have tuned in. Look at this, Casey. I just can't believe it. So many people have tuned in. Elaine, what about this? Emily, Catherine, and Lynette Price and Laura Messner is in the house.
Yes.
Oh, Carolyn Falconer Horn, that gave, so good. And Jason Simmons, wow. Susan Margaret, Lisa, Kendra, good gracious. Oh,
morning. Oh,
look at that. Bo,
sweet.
Jana from Canada. Salute from California.
Salute.
Leah Ryan.
Love you. Oh, look.
Lynette Price from West Virginia.
Oh.
And Virginia Bruce. Whitney Simmons.
We know her.
Deborah Mosley Lang.
That's her bonus, Mama.
I got it. Jerry Walls on in the show?
We know wonderful Jerry. Hi, Jerry.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my girls. I see all.
You've received 100 messages already.
We love everyone.
Wow.
You know, this
Susan
community.
Margaret,
Oh, how precious.
Don Myerson. Wow. Just goes on and on and on. You're very popular, Casey.
No.
Yes, you are. Wow, look at this.
Aw.
Whitney Simmons, we love you. Jerry Wall says, love y'all too. And John Loomis says, good morning. So go ahead with the story. I just was so enthralled that I didn't put the comments up, but a lot of people love you.
We
So
have been
go
so
ahead with the
blessed.
story.
This child has had the support that is just unbelievable. I mean, you feel alone when you're in a situation like this, but little did I know we weren't alone. I mean, we weren't alone by any means. But that morning, I'm going to go back to the morning of the stroke.
The event.
Oh gosh. We were going to do our thing. So I literally picked up Inslee and walked in the kitchen, and Casey was laid out. And
Really?
I put Inslee in her high chair, and I go to Casey, and I knew it was a stroke because she wasn't speaking, and the right side of her mouth was drawn.
So you knew.
I knew it was a stroke. I knew it was a stroke. And I told, when I called my husband, when I called her daddy, when I called everybody, she's had a stroke. When the paramedics got here, because I called them immediately, they said that it was every indication of a stroke. And even the paperwork that they turned in to the local hospital that she was taken to said it was a stroke. Well, when we got there, the emergency room physician didn't seem to think it was a stroke. He felt like it was a seizure, but she had never had a seizure before, and you're just grasping, that, oh, okay, well, I'm wrong. It's a seizure. We get to the hospital here in Decatur at 10. By this time, it was 10:25 that they left here with her. Tim got home to stay with Inslee, and my sister picked me up, and we were at the hospital shortly after she was there.
Can I ask one question? Tim, it had to be hard for you to not go to the hospital.
Yes.
That's where's your baby,
Yes.
Well, and we did have a lot of people there, but he wanted to be there. But he did the most important thing, which was took care of the girls and getting them from school, getting them home until we knew what was going on with her. So this went on all day. They did an MRI, CAT scan, I mean, you name it. And this doctor, the emergency room physician, still wasn't convinced it was a stroke.
Really?
By this time, it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we knew we needed to do something.
Hang on, Patricia. Pat your mama on the back. It's okay. Hey, Tim.
Oh my
I think you need to take over.
You might.
I don't know what happened.
That's okay. Take your time.
I got strangled. Are you okay?
She's okay. So they finally determined that she needed to be transported somewhere else to take care of her. And they were going to send her to Huntsville Hospital. And then that bed got taken.
Is that
That
the picture?
Birmingham. That was at UAB.
Okay.
That was
Was
the day.
where she ended up going to UAB, and it was actually a godsend because they were phenomenal.
Really?
Yes. They really.
So she went to the hospital in Decatur, then went to
University of Alabama, Birmingham Medical Center.
good.
Yeah. Yes. Later that evening.
When did they determine that she had actually had her stroke?
It was that evening. They did a CAT scan when she got
MRI,
there,
yeah.
and did an MRI, and then determined that she had had a stroke.
Yes.
That was
night.
late that evening. Yeah.
We got there at about 8:40, and they took her by ambulance. And by the time we got there, they had already done the CAT scan, and we were waiting for the MRI.
Yeah. How long a drive?
It was about an hour and a half.
I bet that seemed like 10 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Didn't take us long.
It didn't take us long.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they determined she had a stroke, and it was a little obstruction right here. It wasn't even really a full blockage. It was a very mild stroke. I mean, the one picture that you showed where she's eating the candy bar,
Yes.
that was the day after.
Really?
Yes. And so the neurosurgeon, that was the day after. She was coherent. She couldn't talk a lot, but she could talk. And the neurosurgeon explained, about the stroke. And that's when they needed to find out, then the job became, why did she have the stroke? So I contacted everyone that she worked with at the place, her little job, to see if anything had been going on. Had there been I asked about drug activity. I asked about everything. And I knew she hadn't, but still, some reason this girl has had a stroke. And they just said that she was really overwhelmed, but she put on you couldn't tell it. You couldn't tell it because she worked so hard, and she just checked herself at the door, I guess. And she went in and did her job. Well, it was that night. This was on February the 28th that I needed to get in her phone to get some phone numbers. She gave me the passcode. She was sleeping.
Oh, she could still do that.
Yes. I don't know. She doesn't remember all that.
Casey.
Yeah. She
Who cares?
remember all of that. Now she remembers some things, but so she gave me the passcode, and when I opened her phone, there were 32 messages from people that were either inserting themselves into the situation or had been involved in the situation. 32 messages.
Wow.
And I was reading these messages, and I thought to myself, this is like an exorcism via text message. It was like just this whole one-sided, anything from don't forget your covenant to this is the time you should be walking this, that, and the next. And it was just, I told my husband, I said, there is more going on here. She was bombarded. And just bombarded with.
Oh, sorry.
And it was overwhelming. So then we found out just other things that she had been going through that we weren't aware of. We took all of this, and I sat down with 3 doctors, the head of her cardiology team, the neurosurgeon, and the one of the residents there that she just had. Oh, the trauma unit. he was the guy over the trauma unit. And I showed him everything I had. I let him read the messages. I just, because I didn't want to be thinking I'm overreacting, being the defense. I'm very defensive of my daughter. And
Yes.
They took everything that we had given them, the information from November, and said it had to be stress related.
Wow.
From her being so overwhelmed and traumatized. There had been some things that came up that devastated her. And we had no clue. I'll never forget the day that I sat her down and I told her, Casey, if you don't tell me what's going on, I can't help you, because I'm something is just not panning out. And she did. She told me everything. The one thing that she told me that sticks out mostly is she told me that Casey was never good enough. Her real name is Cassandra. So she said she tried to be Cassandra. She tried to fit in as a Cassandra. And it turned out that Cassandra wasn't good enough either. Her self-esteem was just damaged. It was low. So we told the doctors these, and they all said, they came to the conclusion, just from the stress, the trauma, our blood pressure fluctuating, a minute little clot formed, and it made an obstruction right here. One of the doctors said that had she been 55 years old, he would say it was from a dissection. We have tissue right here, and the older you get, it literally just dissects, and sometimes it can cause a blockage. But her tissue was intact, and she's 29 years old. She wasn't 55. So it was just, they said it was due to stress, and it was told to me, stress is her enemy, that I've got to keep her away. We've just got to keep her calm and get through this. He gave her a 100% recovery prognosis. He was going to do a 90-day.
On the 28th.
On the 28th. He gave her a 100%. He said, we'll get her in Spain rehab with intense rehab and an intense 90-day treatment of blood thinners, and her taking 1 aspirin a day for the rest of her life. He gave her a 100% prognosis of a recovery. This was on the 28th. And we were, they were still running different tests and everything. And our family was there.
Look at this. Casey has always been enough.
Yes, she has. Prior to her having the stroke, she was in counseling. We had gotten with, she was ready to take some counseling. And prior to that, she had met with it was very important to us that she meet with a Christian counselor, because I didn't want someone just throwing information to her that hadn't prayed upon it, and it wasn't biblical advice. I wanted it to be something that was going to help her on a spiritual level. And so she did. She was given a contact, and she started going to therapy, 2 sessions with this very nice therapist that Casey enjoyed, or counselor. She was a counselor. She said that she had diagnosed Casey with PTSD.
Wow.
That there was really nothing she could do to help Casey. She could listen to her, but Casey needed further than what she could offer her with her help. So we made her an appointment with a psychologist to get her, because we were worried about her. We knew.
Well, how long along this February 27th had her stroke, February 28th, 100% recovery. What day is this?
This was prior to her stroke.
Okay.
Yeah, it was prior. Her counseling was prior to the stroke. I said that because we were trying to get her the help
Yes.
she needed.
Yes.
And so on the 28th, listen, we were good, weren't we? Our family was there. It was before COVID. I mean, our whole family was there. And I just remember they kept saying when she goes to Spain rehab. And I guess subconsciously I was thinking, oh, we're going to be better when we get to Spain. There was a problem with a bed. They didn't have a bed available for her. But there was going to be one available very soon. So on March the 4th, she was doing great. On March the 4th, they had scheduled her a TEE, which the cardiology team did. And they were going to put her to sleep and go behind her heart just to check the valves and arteries behind the heart. She was very nervous about that. We were still in NICC at Birmingham UAB. Again, we were waiting for a step-down room so she could step on over to rehab.
Yeah.
And when they did the TEE, they took her off of her medication at midnight on March the 4th. And they did the TEE around 1 p.m. And when she woke up from that, she was different. I knew she was different. Her eyes stayed watery. She couldn't stay awake. She wasn't talking. It was like she was watching me and she was trying to say something, but she couldn't. And I just would say, do you want this? Do you want that? What can I do? And she was answering yes or no. But I knew something.
Hey, Casey.
Yeah.
Love you.
I love you.
I love you.
So we were, I was just telling any and everybody that would listen to me, there's something different.
Really?
Fortunately, and again, this is where God is all in this story for my child. He was in the middle of it. Satan came against her. Satan came to kill and destroy my child, and I know he did. And God set all this up. While we were in the NICC unit, after we had gotten the word she had had a stroke and we were waiting to go to rehab, we had met one of the most kindest medical students. He was a third-year medical student, and he came in every morning. And
Look,
Casey says,
Emily.
oh. And when he came in to do her assessment, he would pray with us, and we just formed a little bond with him. He was wonderful. And every morning he would come in and do her assessment, checking her mouth, checking to see if there was any movement in her hand, which there was. Her mouth she had started smiling pretty normal. This was already coming back. And I told him, I said, there's something off about her. And he takes it.
Mama knows.
I knew.
I know. Mama knows.
And he went to the attending neurologist there on the floor where we were. And here comes this attending with his entourage of little doctors behind him. And he told me that I was overreacting.
Oh, wow.
Eyes were watering because of the dry air. And she's going to Spain rehab tomorrow, and things are going to be better. So I still didn't have peace. And Kyle came in, this guy came in, and I told him, I said, I'm just not pleased. I think there's something going on. She couldn't stay awake by this time. This was the 4th into the 5th. The whole time she couldn't stay awake. She couldn't hold her head up. Something.
Amanda.
And so this sweet medical student went to a pediatric neurologist that was in that group of doctors that came to her room and told this pediatric neurologist that there was a change in Casey's assessment. So this sweet doctor that God put right where she needed to be,
Yes.
came to our room and said, just for safe measures, I'm going to order a CAT scan. And I was so thankful. Well, she ordered the CAT scan. They did the CAT scan. And in the meantime, the nurses were telling me that, we're getting ready to start her on physical therapy, and then she'll be moved to Spain tomorrow, and you're going to know, she's going to be better. So I guess that's why I just kept thinking, once we get to Spain rehab, she's going to be better. And so the young neurologist ordered a CAT scan, and it upset the older attending that we did that. He literally
Really?
he told
Why?
Why? He told me I was overreacting, and he told me that I was actually wasting resources because she was fine.
No way. No way.
I apologized to him because you're just grasping for any hope when your child is in a situation you want to be wrong. So, okay, I apologized.
Wow.
And a few minutes later, we get a knock on the door, and it was a doctor I had never seen in my life.
Really?
And he told me that he had looked at her CAT scan, and she had had another stroke. And they were going to...
You knew.
They were going to move us back to the critical NICC unit.
Wow.
They had already given me a room number. That doctor, the medical student, and the pediatric neurologist were all three in her room. They started helping me pack up her room. They told me what room number she was in, and I went to that room. And I called my husband, and I said, I think something's up, because this looks like no other room we've been in since we've been here. And by this time, it was about 6:00 in the evening. And they move her. And again, the doctor and the med student and the young neurologist helped us get all of our stuff put in that room. Because I moved in. Listen, I had already researched it, and I was trying to make her as comfortable. Yes. I wanted her to feel comfort, and it helps with their healing process. I just wanted her comfortable. And by this time, it was a little after 6, and they made me leave. Now, the whole time we had been there, they never made me leave. The nurses were good to me. I was good to them. We had a good relationship, and they never made me leave. They always let me stay when it was, like in the morning, you're supposed to take leave for 2 hours and let them do a change of shift. And they just, we just hunkered down, and I took care of my daughter. And that day when they moved her in that room, they made me leave. And
what happened?
I went to the waiting room, and by that time, my family had already left because we were going to Spain the next day, the rehab, and they were all going to come back the next day and see her when we got settled. And this young doctor, never seen him in my life, called my name, called for the family of Casey, and I walked in the hallway, and he told me that, yeah, your daughter's had another stroke, and it was a big one. It's damaged this whole side of her brain. And, there's a surgery that can be done. And if we're going to do the surgery, we need to do it now. There's just a small window of opportunity. But
that happened while you were out of the room?
That happened, yes. And I thought they had the wrong person. I said, now, wait a minute. My daughter's 29 years old. Are you certain you have the right person? And he said, yes. And I said, no, I don't think you do. And I said, well, what if we don't do the surgery? And he said, then we will make her comfortable until she passes. I said, absolutely not. I can't tell you to let my child pass. And then this is what he said. He said, I'm going to get somebody else for you to speak with. Well, then here comes Dr. Harrigan, which I have the utmost respect for. Our whole family does. And I recognized him because he was the one that told me Casey had had a stroke and told me why the stroke didn't show up on the MRI at the other hospital. He explained everything to me, and he was a familiar face. And I had a little bit of comfort because I thought, oh, okay, they have made a mistake, and he's going to let me know. But then they took me in this little room. Mm-hmm. When they took me in that room, I knew something was a little farther south than I thought.
Love you, Patricia. Love you.
I will say this, everything that those wonderful doctors said to me, they were telling me based on the rule of medical science. And I know they believed every word they were telling me. And according to the rule of medical science, she should have died. And that's what they were telling me. She's not going to have any quality of life. She's going to be forever in a vegetative state. And I love this man. Dr. Harrigan looked me right in my eyes and he said, she's going to forever be dependent upon you. And that's going to take a toll on your health. And when you pass, then who's going to take care of her? And I said, she has 4 little girls. I'm sure I can teach them to help me take care of her, but just don't let her die. And I can't say how much this man means to our family. And he was speaking straight from what he knew according to the rule of medical science. But that's not who I had my faith in. I knew who I had to put my faith in, and that was the correct decision. And that's what I kept saying. That's what I kept thinking. We're not putting our faith in this. You save her life, and then you let me deal with the other part, but please just save her life. So the next thing I know, I'm signing consent forms. And again, I'm by myself. My family had left. And I signed the forms for them to do the surgery. And what they did is they did a craniectomy where they went in and they removed a portion of her skull so her brain could swell. And so that was, by this time, it was 1 a.m. on March the 6th. This had been going on since the 4th. And
is this the picture that
was after the second surgery? Yes. That was the day I noticed that she had drainage coming from her ear. And they just, and I said, why is this drainage coming from her ear? And this doctor said, well, I can either go in and put a drain, I can drain it, do another surgery, or we can do a lumbar drain. And Lord knows I didn't want him to touch her head again. And I know they were just trying to help her and give her some relief, but we chose to do the lumbar drain. And so that night, or later that afternoon, they did a lumbar drain. But what it is they did that craniectomy and they removed this portion of her skull, but her little brain was just swelling and it was just continuing to swell. So they had to go in and do another craniectomy and they removed the other half of her skull. And they did not give my daughter much hope. They did not give her a chance. They honestly thought she was going to die.
They don't know Casey. They don't know Casey.
No,
No, no, no. They don't know Casey.
no. And
No.
they did the surgery, and I tell you, I'm so thankful where we were. And I know I don't ever want anyone to think that I'm speaking harshly of anyone at UAB. My
I got it.
could not have been in better hands. She could not have been in better hands. We've made lifelong friends with her nurses and her doctors, and just these people are remarkable, and God used them in a mighty way to save her life.
Yes.
So she survived the first surgery, and by the grace of God, she survived the second surgery. So now here we are in this intensive care unit, and by that time, COVID had set in. And it was a game changer. My family couldn't be there. I was afraid to wander off too far because I was afraid that I couldn't get back to her. So I just hunkered down. And we were by ourselves. Now her dad and her bonus mom, and they all came. But it's just we didn't have free access to her like we did before this second stroke. And it was just very heartbreaking. But again, I know there were so many people in worse shape than she was in. But she was my focus because she's my child.
Sure.
And so on March the 8th, she survived the 2 surgeries. She survived the lumbar drain. Then they did an A line, a central line, a feeding tube. She was on a ventilator. She had every hose and needle that was available to man coming out of her. She looked so little in that big bed with all that stuff coming out of her. And
you know what? She may have looked little, but she was so strong.
Yes,
I'm just so proud of her.
Yes, she was. She is remarkable. Well, I have to tell you, during that time after her surgery, and she was pulling through. I mean, every night they just thought this is going to be the night, with the exception of one nurse that I had back there. And oh, that little nurse will be in my heart as long as I'm alive. I remember.
Tell me about that.
The only time I doubted, now going back to when the doctors were telling me about how bad her life quality of life is going to be, I remember him looking me right in my eye and telling me, "You make certain you're choosing this for her and not your own selfish reasons. Because she's not going to have a quality of life like you think." And on the 8th, when I thought she wasn't going to make it, that was the only time that I felt like I may have been selfish and just tried to keep her, because she was in so much pain. She was hurting. Her dad and her bonus mom. I mean, people couldn't even look at her without crying. And by this time, they were letting people go back there and see her, because it didn't. We believe it was because they didn't think.
I just want to show something. Just look at her now. Look at her now. She's so beautiful. I am so proud of her.
I do know too that every morning they would come in, the physicians, all these teams, and it seemed like they would come in at 5, between 4 and 5 in the morning to do their assessment. And she was out, she was on all of that pain medication. But during the day, I could interact with her. I mean, I could talk to her, and she wasn't responding so early in the morning. So on the 3rd day, here they come to do their assessment, and it was like, Cassandra, can you wake up? And I sat there and I said, "Can I try something?" And that doctor said, "By all means." And I went over there to her bed, and I looked at her and I said, in my mama voice, Casey, I need you to wake up and I need you to speak to this doctor. Well, her eyes immediately opened and she looked at this doctor, and he said, well, what did you call her? And I said, Casey. She's Casey. And I said, she's probably going to answer to Casey. And he made a note. And at that point on, everyone referred to her to Casey. Well, she understood Casey. She knew she was Casey. And that was the first step into her recovery. But I had to really put my foot down with people calling her Cassandra, because she didn't know a Cassandra. She had, but she
Casey's in the house.
Yes, yes. And
so tell me about when you knew that she was going to make this determination to recover.
When I knew she was still in critical care, and my bonus son, Jason, went and had some pictures of her little girls printed so I could hang them in her room for her to see them. And when I showed her little girls, that's when I knew that she was going to give it one heck of a fight. And I wasn't going to give up on her. I wasn't going to give up on her. And I never will. She's remarkable.
Patricia, he said, I saw her on March 8th. I fibbed to the nurse and I told her that I was her sister so that I wouldn't get kicked out.
At Little Island, yeah. They are childhood friends. And she was there. She's been there every step of the way. That's a friend.
Yes.
That's her friend.
Yes.
I was so many.
Good for you.
Her childhood. They tolerated her half crazy mama because I was so protective of her. You know, I mean, I'd already had 2 doctors that were wrong, and I just said,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Well, my video is not working, so I don't know what to do, but I just let me say, Laura? Laura! I want to ask you a question, Tim.
Sir.
What were you thinking of all this time?
Well, we were just thinking if we could get her home, we'd be okay. I mean, everybody was so far away, and we could only go up every now and then and meet in the parking lot and drop off supplies and all that. And, you know, we just wanted, if we could get her home and get her family around her and have a big enough support system, that she was going to be okay.
Good. You know, I just, I don't know what somebody said that they can see me, but this is about Casey and Tim and Patricia. I just can't see at all. But anyway.
Well, we're here.
No? What?
Yeah, we're here.
We can't see you.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Good. So that's okay. So one of the things I want to know, when did you get to bring Casey home? How long was that?
We were at UAB for 45 days.
Wow.
And she got to come home on April the 11th. And not only did she come home that day, but she came home to a parade.
Wow.
Her friends, they put together the most beautiful welcome home parade for her. It was one for the books. There were 40 people, 40 vehicles, and it just showed her how much she was loved, because she was struggling, especially after the second stroke and after just the changes. it was just wonderful. So when we came home, she came home with no skull. She just had her scalp over her brain.
Yeah.
So she walked around for until October the 12th. And it was very uncomfortable for her. They told us it was like a constant state of motion sickness, and because she stayed sick with a headache, migraines, nausea, everything was off whack. It was missing. And it was just for literally until October the 12th, every day it was sick. We couldn't plan anything. Even getting her to her therapies, it was,
I understand. So let me ask you this. I wish I could see you, but I can't see you. But I can see you, but I'm not visible.
that's
What was your aha moment when you came home? What was the turning point for you, Casey?
you know you were going to be better? When did you know you were going to feel better?
Oh,
After your surgery.
after a surgery.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
We're to the list. She does have aphasia and she has apraxia. We didn't realize exactly how much apraxia she had until
Well,
recently.
she's gonna be fine. Casey,
Yes.
I just want you to know that I really am proud of you and everything you've learned. Can you say this for me?
Okay.
Come and get it.
Come and get it.
Eat breakfast.
Eat breakfast.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Tell me,
Tell me,
Eliana,
Eliana,
I miss you.
I miss you.
Eliana, I love you.
I love you.
So we have made so much progress, and I am so proud of you. And you're interacting with your kids, and I believe wholeheartedly that you're going to get your kids back. I do.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the work and you have made so every time I get to work with you, it's a blessing, a blessing, a blessing. And I just want you to know that it's a blessing.
Thank you.
So
Working
go ahead.
very hard. And the way you're helping her, Paul, it's remarkable how she's been able to interact with her girls, speak to her girls. She's had speech therapy, and we were so blessed with the best speech therapist. I mean, just so good to her, and we love them. And then she started working with you, and it was a different method. It's just remarkable, isn't it? Because she's learning things to say to her children. It's not just a generic speech therapy session. Not trying to take away from that. This is actually geared toward her life, and her life is her children. And she will listen. There is no. We are very cordial with the other grandparents, and there is no doubt they have their hands full too. Our heart hurts for everyone involved in this unfortunate situation. But our goal is to help her get well enough that she can get the child visitation amended to something, and they would want that for Casey. I mean, that they would want that for Casey. They
Good.
want her to be able to take care of her girls, and I mean, that's her ultimate goal. And with her faith in God, she's the sweetest spirit. The first two words that she put together, and she said on her own, was, "I forgive."
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
grateful. That's what she said, did she not? That was the first. And listen, she's a remarkable, and God has He has something in store. She's going to encourage someone, and she's going to inspire some people too.
Well, they're going to make a movie about her life, I predict. And it should be. But I want to say, for the record, I'm not a speech therapist at all. I just have aphasia. I have aphasia, and I had motor apraxia, and I had dysarthria, and I learned to talk, and I don't know anything about speech therapy, but I do know one thing. I believe Casey can talk, and I want to help her talk. And we have so much fun together. Unconventional method. we, we say all kinds of things, and we have so much fun. And Casey is just doing so good. Can you say no problem?
No problem.
Be happy to.
Be happy to.
I understand.
Understand.
Sit down
Sit down
and behave.
and behave.
You can say anything. I am so proud of you. So
Thank
this brings us to the end of the show, and I don't know what happened to my camera, but it's a good thing because it's all about you. We're going to pick up next week, and I'm going to talk to Tim about his working with Casey after we do our lessons. I'm going to talk to her. You know what I wanted more than anything? When I said, Casey, what do you want to do? And I could tell she wanted to tell her girls, I love you. She wanted to tell her girls, I miss you. But most of all, she wanted to pray for her girls.
Absolutely.
Can you say that prayer?
God bless Eliana. God bless Evie. God bless Alora. God bless Inslee.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud. So proud. And, I just, you mean so much to me. I just wanted you to know. I probably got the camera wiped out because I was in tears. But for your story, Patricia, can I say this to Patricia and Tim? You are the most wonderful parents. No, I
We
just.
have a whole tribe.
You are the most wonderful parents, and I am so proud of you. And I'm proud of you, Casey, for being a wonderful mom.
That's right.
So we always say, and I can't pull it up, but we always say, Casey, can you say this with me? Hope is on the way. Hope is on the way, and I am proud of you. Proud of you. So don't hang up. I'm going to end the stream and look at we had over 300 messages on this stream. Listen,
This is a wonderful community. Listen, people are amazing. Amazing.
Look at wonderful show. Emily said, amen. Yes, they are.
Oh.
And oh, my heart, that is so loving. Well done, Casey. Amazing show, Paul. Such an amazing story, and amazing parents for sure. Total tears over here. And Lisa Brown and Chandra said hope is on the way. So have a good day, blessed day. Don't hang up. I'm going to end the stream, and I'll be right back.
Bye.
Don't hang up. Just hang on.